Okay, welcome everybody. And last night, Motzei Shabbat, we weren't able to record for technical reasons, and maybe we could make that up for today. In general, without doing the words inside, on the bottom of Chaf Hey Amud Beis, the Gemara asks the Kasha, are there not other cases? We say more stumin yiflu min adava. More stumin means that he had money that was designated in general for the Nazirus, but not specifically v'chatas or shlamim. So there's a more asked there. Rabbi Yochanan said that it was Allah Moshe Messinai, Dafka by Nazir. It sounds not like that because it says all Chai V'Kinin, if that happened. Chai V'Kinin means those like a Metzora, Zav, Zava, Yoledes, that they bring a set of birds, a cane. The whole Maseches Kinim means the issue about two birds that were a pair of birds. One is a Chatas, one is an Olam. And if it's, here it says that if they someone designated money for that set of birds, you could still change it around. You could bring it all for a chatas, all for an ola, even for a behema. You could change it from a bird into a behema. That doesn't seem to be relevant to us yet. Then it said in the second line that if the person died and there was more stumin, yiplu l'nedava. So it says the same exact thing as it says by us. It says that if there was money that was designated for a joint different karbanis, so it says that if he died, so it goes to the dava. So same thing as by us. Why does our Gemara say? Why did Yochanan say that it's halacha b'nazir? That was the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara answers that it doesn't mean dafka nazir. It means anything which is similar. Nazir v'chal the damule that are similar. What's similar about it? So the Mefarshim explained because it's one person that has a few karbanos that he has to bring on the same count, like the nazir. Because of the nazirus, he has to bring a ola and a chatas, also a shlamim, and also the case of the metzora, he has to bring a zav, and a zav, they have to bring two karbanos, a set of birds. So all the case of sets of birds, over there we're going to say the Lachon Moshe Messinai, that it's yiplu l'nedava, if he died. But in a case where it's not going to be carbon for the same reason, as it says in the next case, if there was a person who was chayv v'korban chatas because, let's say, he did a chayv v'koros, he's machal Shabbos by mistake, he has to bring a korban chatas, and also he happened to have obligated himself with a korban ola, reyalai ola, so he's chayv two korbanos that have no connection to each other at all, no connection. So there it says that if he separated money and he said over there he cannot use the monies for. You don't can say yiplu l'nedava. Over there, if he wants to be all for chatas, he cannot. All for an ola, he cannot. It has to be for both. And stumim yelchul yam hamelach. So that was the end of that Gemara, and that we can put over there 2 dots. That was finished. That was the first Gemara that said that there's anything which is similar to Nazir, which means that it's one obligation of many karbanos, either because he's a Nazir, or he has to have 2 karbanos, or because he's a Zav or a Zava. All these cases, that is one chiyuv for both karbanos. So then the halacha would be yiplu l'nedava. If may yiplu l'nedava, but if it would be a person who's chayiv one chatas for one reason, or for something else, then you don't say that, and then the money would be dafka like yiplu yam hamelach, because the money of the chatas cannot be used. New Gemara, Rav Ashi said, what's called mefurashim? What does mefurashim mean? So one simple case would be, so Taisa says over here, yesterday we were speaking about if it means 3 piles and 1 pile. So Taisa seems to say that's what the Gemara is talking about. In the case where he said, Elu, try to highlight that, Elu lechatasi, Elu le'olasi, Elu le'shlamim. That means that he had 3 piles of money, and he said, this is for chatas, this is shlam. That's surely going to be mefurashim. And then the halacha says in the Mishnah, what do you do? With the chatas money, it goes to the Yam HaMelech. All the money you bring a korban ola, and the shlamim money you bring a korban shlamim. So now he says not only that, even another case where he said, Elu lechatasi lo'olam v'shlamim. Here Taisa says that it means that 1 pile of money, and he said that this money is going to be for chatas ola and shlamim. But he said it's going to be for chatas ola and shlamim. That's also called specified, and the money is now designated for all 3. That's also called mifurashim. That's also called specified money. What do you do with it now? Now it's all mixed up. So Taisa says, now that's all the Gemara says. That's called mefurashim. One more Gemara. The Gemara continues. Not only that, according to Ikadamri, even if he said Elu l'chavasi, that's also called mefurashim. He said all this 1 pile of money, and he said that this money is for my obligations. Also, that's called mefurashim. That's the end of the Gemara, and Rav Ashi's finished talking. Now we're going to take over and ask, what do you do with it now? Now that it says mefurashim, what do you do? In the Mishnah's case, when you have mefurashim, you have 3 piles. So you know that this is the chatas money, Yam HaMelech. This is the ola money, korban ola. This is the shlamim money, and you bring a shlamim and eat it for 1 day without the breads. But now that you have 1 pile of money that has 3 kinds of money mixed in with it, what do you do with it? So Taisa says that now you're stuck. That since you have money, you have $300 of money, and $100 of it is the chatas money, which goes to the Yam HaMelech, and you can't separate it. Tyson says you can't separate it.
Because it's with Russian.
So because it's Mufurashim, and now even you can't separate it, which we have a kasha soon. Soon we're going to see that there is such a thing as separating it. Tyson says you can't separate it. So therefore everything goes to the Yamamala. Just to point out, the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara said that it's called Mufurashim. Tyson points out in the Mishnah, Mufurashim means Mufurarin, that it's specified, but you know which one is which. You have 3 piles. One is Ola, one is Chatas, one is Shlamim. But here that it says one pile, it's one pile of money, and it's specified inherently, but not clear which is which. It's not $300 worth, and in the money is going to be Chatas, Ola, and Shlamim money, but you don't know which is which. So Taisa says, Ein Malasot, everything goes to the Yamamala. And
so we are saying
we're saying the same as we said yesterday, but it's one pile. That's how Taisa says that in the first case it was 3 piles, and that's Pashut. But in the second case it was 1 pile. Also, it's considered Mufurashim. But Taisa says this is Mufurashim Tarobis. It's a Tarobis of Mufurashim. It's sorted.
All mixed up.
And you mix up, what can you do with it? Taisa says that everything goes to the Yamamala. They point out that Rashi, the Mufarash over here, doesn't say it like that. He says you still could separate it. You still can separate the monies now. No, you're allowed to separate it. You have this money, but it's considered Mufurashim, and you're not going to say the whole Chiddush is you don't say Yipul in the Dava. You don't say that it goes to and also Taisvus and the Mepharshim say that in the Dava and the whole issue here. I've just asked a couple of days ago, what does Yipul in the Dava mean? Does it mean it's private Ola? What does it mean? The Kaisam is Be'ach for the Korban Sibur, so they say that it means the Korban Sibur. Whenever it says Yipul in the Dava, they say that's what it means. Could be someone.
According to Tosfos, how could you buy a Korban?
Wine, according to Tosfos, you're not going to buy a Korban. Why do you say
no? If in the general case,
a general case.
He's mechuyev to buy the korbanos, and they're all mixed up. How can you buy the 3 korbanos?
In this case, that is mixed up, then you can't. Which case are you referring to?
A person is hired to bring korban nozer, so he sets aside. Yeah, all 3 of them. He sets aside money for all 3 korbanos. According to Tosfos, you can never buy anything.
So I could say maybe that as long as he's alive, then he could. And Taisa said that before. That as long as he's alive, he could. But once he died,
okay,
then he cannot, and we cannot. That seems to be.
We don't know how he would say.
He didn't. And we're not authorized anymore to separate it anymore. And the Rashi, the Mefarshim seems to say that you could. That we could do it even after we died. We also could separate it.
So does it come out that if Mufurashim and he died, it's similar like Stamos?
No, Stam is Yipul in a Dava. Is Yipul in a Dava.
Oh, you can make it in the Dava.
You make that's what you're supposed to do. That's what Mishnah said. Yipul in a Dava. And here he's saying that this is called Mufurashim, you can't. And the Mishnah, the Mufurashim was, you know what it was. So you have 3 things to do. Oh. And here that it's Mufurashim, but it's all assorted. So you can't, and everything goes to the Yipul in a Dava. Okay. Just to show the Tosfos here, if we go to the Tosfos, the first and second wide lines. Hirish Mufurashim b'Tarobas. It's assorted specifications. And he says, second line, in the Mishnah it says, Ola, and this, over there, it's clear which is which, but over here it's not. So therefore everything goes to the Yamamala. So this is Tosfos. Rashi, they bring down, seems to say differently. Here he says, Rashi doesn't have this problem. Rashi says Rashi seems to say that you can divide it now. Okay, so that was yesterday's Gemara on Rav Ashi. The next Gemara of Rava. Rava said that this din of Yipful and Nedava is only Mostumin is only on it's only said on Chatas. That was his chiddush. That only when there's Chatas money that's involved. So then we say the Salach L'Moshe Sinai that Yipful and Nedava. But if it will be only Ola and Shlama money, then it wouldn't be Yipful and Nedava. What would you do? You have Ola and Shlama money mixed up. In the Mishnah's case, you had Chatas, Ola, and Shlama money mixed up. So then Yipful and Nedava. If it's Stuman, going down Stuman, we're not going before, we finished with Russian. That was Rav Ashi was talking about before Russian. Maybe make that yesterday. We did that in red. We'll do it again. Make it in red. That yesterday's Gemara was Russian. Rav Ashi said that Russian, this is called Russian, not only the 3 piles, even 1 pile, even if he does an Elu L'Chavasi, that's also considered Russian. Now we're going, Rav was talking about Stuman. And he says, you know what the din of Stuman is? I'm telling you, only if it has Chatas money involved. But if it only be Ola and Shlamim money involved, on that it doesn't say Yipful in the Dovim. So what do you do? So I would think that Taisus will say, you can't you have Ola money and Shlomo money. What are you supposed to do? You can't extract it. But the Gemara is going to say that you do extract it, and you make a Ola and a Shlomo. So maybe it's not difficult what I'm asking. Rashi says that you can divide it now also. Taisa said Taisa a second ago said you can't divide it, but here he says you could divide it. It says in the Brisa, Tanya in the Amud Beis, it says Tanya Kavase de Rava, Elu Lachatasi Vashalu and his Sharon is Irusi. He said Chatas is here. The Chatas is clear which the Chatas money, and then he had the other monies for the rest, which means Ol and Shlomim. So the Chatas goes to the Melach, and the rest of it Chatzi Ol Chatzi Shlomim. Means there's no problem. You can extract it. You can take this money now, divide it all the Shlomim. I said it before you cannot. So Taisa seems to say that over here you do a trick. You don't just take the monies and divide it. You bring two animals and you say that all the money is transferred onto this animal wherever it is, and the Shlomim money is transferred to this animal wherever it is. That you could do. How come you can't do it before? Take also the Chatas money and transfer it on and leave it. Take out the Ol and the Shlomim money and leave the Chatas, put that into the Yam HaMelach, or transfer it onto other monies and put it onto Yam HaMelach.
Still part of the pile.
Okay, but here the Gemara says openly that you could change the two monies of Ol and Shlomim into animals. Taisa says before, when you have Chatas, Ol and Shlomim, you can't, for some reason. Because of the Chatas. So why can't you do that also? What? So let it. So you can't put it onto other monies and then throw it into the Yam HaMelach, wherever the Chatas money is.
There's a difference. I don't know
Okay,
exactly
okay. So we'll say like that before you can't do anything. So Taisa says it's all but Tarovis, so everything goes to Yam HaMelach. And I was saying that the din of Stumin is only when it's
when Chatas is
involved, but it's only Ola and Shlomim. So then you don't say goes to the Iflul and the Dava. What do? The Ola you get a korban Ola, and the Shlomim is for the korban Shlomim. The Mishnah.
Why did you say that you have to take the money of the two animals?
I thought Taisus is saying that because Taisus says you can't just divide the money now. You're not authorized to divide the monies, even if it's only Ola and Shlomim money.
There is no Chatas, you can't divide them.
That's what I seem to say. He says that the most you could do is transfer the kedusha of the Ola money onto the Ola and the kedusha of the Shlomim money onto the Shlomim. But you can leave it out. Maybe we don't have to do that. Now then the Brisa said again, with us finishing up, the Brisa said that in order to be moel, when you have the money which is mixed up, Ola and Shlomim money, there's only going to be Mila if you do Mila in majority of the money. Kulan means Ruban. Once you go past the 50% mark, so then you're getting involved in the Ola money. But if you only were moel in 50% or less, so then it's not called Mila because then it was the Shlomim money. You can attribute your benefit that you have from the Shlomim. But since you didn't use more than 50%, so that's the Shlomim money still. Say,
under half is considered.
That's what we said. Chatzi Ola, Chatzi Shlomim. We said here on the third line, Chatzi Ola, Chatzi Shlomim. So then it's only going to be. That's what you have to do with the money. So even before you used it, so it's only going to be meal if you did more than half. If you benefited from more than half of the money, but till it's half, as long as it's half, so then we'll say that was a Shlomim money and there's no meal. The other case where he said the Elolo Lasi, that he had money set aside for the Ola, which is clear that's for the Ola, and the rest is going to be the mixture, the Chatas and the Shlomim. So back to what we said before, that the Yipul and the Dava, because you have Chatas money involved. So then it is Yipul and the Dava. And then we just finished off that Molim means not that we argue says Bekulan, Vein Molim Mixasan, the same thing as before, but the Gemara says it can't be, and the Tosefta says not like that, because since it's Yipul and the Dava, everything's in Ola. Everything's in Ola. So there is, if it would have been Chatas and a Shlomim, you're right. There would only been meal if it would have been 51%. But we say the Yipul and the Dava, everything's in Ola, so therefore Molim Bahem. We take out these words. Next Gemara. Also we did yesterday. We started yesterday and we're trying to go a little further. Amar Ravun Amar. We're going now on the Mishnah that says Stumin. There's such a thing called Stumin. The Mishnah said such a thing called Mas Stumin, which means money which has been designated for the Karbanos, but it wasn't specified which korban. So Rav says only money is considered Stumin, but a behema is not considered Stumin. So we started off yesterday going with the Meforshim. If it would, what does it mean a behema is not? It's considered Meforeshes. Let's highlight this. This is what Rav's statement was. Behema Arikim Meforeshes. That was the statement. Rav Nachman, I'm sorry, line before.
They consider more expensive than birds, is it?
No. We're talking about a Nazir who put aside money that he said this is for minus zeros. That's considered Stuman. Still, he specifies it, so it's all considered a par, neutral money. That has to be for the zeros, but it wasn't specified which one. He has a Chatas Ola and a Shlom. He didn't say which. But if he separated Behema, it's considered Mefurish. So I'm going to try to say a pshat that Mefarshim don't say, just to be able to go through the Gemara simply. There might be some cautious, but try to get through the Gemara simple pshat. You might have wanted to say that he just means to say that if you had a ram, a sheep, and a female sheep, those are the three kabbanas that he needs. That's considered mufareshes. That would be simple mamish, because if you have three animals that each one is designated what it's supposed to be, he has to bring an ayil for a shlamim, a chatas kispa, a kesev, keves for a ola, and a kivsa for a chatas. So if he designated these three animals to say that's given mufareshes, even though he didn't say so, he just said these three animals. He took a ayil, a keves, and a kivs. He said these three animals are for my nazirus. So that's considered specified. That's very simple pshat. Of course it is, because that's only, the ayil is only good for a shlamim, the keves is only good for an ola, and the kivs is only good for a chatas. But the Mefarshim say that can't be the pshat of the Gemara, because the Gemara is going to continue on a different vein. So the point is going to be, if we may, that it just means units. There are some things that are called units. I made up the word. I mean, I'm not sure if the Mefarshim don't say it. I just think it's a simple pshat that we could go through the Gemara, and there might be some kashas. That animals are considered not animal, one animal, three animals. We're going to say that it doesn't mean one animal. It's going to mean three animals. And the point is not the ayil, the kevus, and the kivsa, but let's say, just for argument's sake, to get out of the ballpark, we don't want a cow. Of course, the Nazir has nothing to do with the cows. He has to bring an ayil, a kevus, and a kivsa. But he designated three cows. So Rav's point was to say that since he designated three units, it's considered that's specified. Mefureshes. Now again, what does mefureshes mean? Which one is which? We don't know which one is which. And that's going to be considered again the assorted mefureshes. Like we had this a few minutes ago. There's something called assorted mefureshes. Assorted, mixed. What? Tarovet. That's what Tosfos said on number out. That's called a tarovet. What was Tosfos's reason to say that? In what case did he say that? That there's such a case, it's called mefuroshim. If he said, "Arei elu lechatasi lo lami ushlami elu lechavasi," all these cases, Rav Ashi said that's called mefureshes. Why is it called mefureshes? Because he said that this money is for my three animals, for my three things that I need. Achatas ola and shlamim. He didn't tell us which one is which. He didn't have three piles. He had one pile of money, and he said, "This is for my three karbanos, achatas ola and shlamim." It's considered mefurish. Tosfos had a problem. What do you do with that now? So Tosfos says, okay, so it all goes to Ram HaMelech. Or Rashi said you could divide it now. We won't go into that. Leave that for yesterday. That what do you do when you have a mufareshes, which is all assorted together? Okay, Tosfos says you're stuck, but you're not going to do yiplul and a double. Rav's point in this Gemara was to say that animals, units of animals, are considered as if separate piles. When you take money, you take $300, and you say this is for my nazirus, that's done. But if you take three animals and you say this is for my nazirus, it's understood that there are three units over here. One animal is going to be for the chatas, one for the ola. Now, of course, not the cow is going to be for the chatas, but you're going to sell the animal, and the money is going to be used for one of the karbanos, an ola, one of the chatas, one for a shlamim. But it's divided into three units. So it's as if you have the specification, the specified, and now it's assorted. You don't know which one is which. What do you do? So we said, Tosfos says you have, everything's going to go to Yam HaMelech. So far it passes. Now we put in parentheses, if we may.
Saying that it's not the case.
No, parentheses means that you read the Gemara, putting it on the side, and we'll continue after the parentheses. Amr of Nachman by Yitzchak, Amr of Nachman, Ha da Amri behema harei k'mefureshes l'shanu b'ela b'tamima, aval b'ala smum harei k'stuma. The whole Gemara, we'd like to learn that the whole issue is considered that you look at something as units, or you look at it only as its value. And just to point out, the Gemara is going to continue soon with Naska, and then it's going to continue also with the Sava Shel Koros. Three issues that are called units. When you take money, even if you take a lot of coins, let's say whatever, dollar bills, a check, whatever you're going to do, and you make $300 that you need for the three korbanos, you need $100 for each korban. So when you take money is considered just a value. You don't look at it as units, and therefore the money is called stuma. It hasn't been specified what the money is going to be, which monies are going to be for what, or that any money is going to be for anything specific. You just see everything collectively. By money, you look at money collectively, but by animals, even though the animals are going to be sold in order to be able to buy the korbanos that you need, but you look at it like units, and one animal is going to be sold for one korban, another animal is going to be sold to get the money to buy the second korban, and for the third carbon, one for a chatas, one for a shlom. And now that you have these three animals and you don't know which one is specified for which, so again, you're back into your tarovis of mefureshes. Taisvis told us this new musag of tarovis mefureshes. You have specified, but it's all mixed up. You don't know which one is which. But it's considered tarovis. It's considered mefureshes. It's not considered stuma. That was Rav's chiddush. Then animals are considered units. Let's skip Rav Nachman for a minute, if we may, and go to continue. Aval naskalo. We're just skipping the parentheses and continuing. That the animals are considered units, but bars of silver are not considered units. Even if you have 3 bars of silver, and he said, these bars of silver are going to be for my karbanos. Of course, it means to sell them and get the money and be able to buy. That is not considered units. That's considered like money. The same way money is considered collectively, how much is it worth altogether? So that's because it happens to be bars of silver. The same way it would be coins. You don't look at the coins separate. You look at them as money. So too, if you have bars of silver, also you look at the collective value of all of them, and that's still called stuma. Only
that could go as a nadava if he died.
and then Yiplul in a double, right? Yiplul in a double.
Because
It's called
we don't
stuma.
know where
It's still called
no, we
stuma,
go to the
right? It's still called stuma. If you have units that you separated, then it's not called stuma, then it's called mifurashin. It's going to be mifurashin v'tarovis, okay? But it's called mifurashin. That's only if it's animals it's called. But naska, even bars of silver are not considered units, they're considered just collective value. And he argues and he says that naska is also considered units. So if you would have designated 3 bars of silver for your 3 karbanos, it's considered mifurashin. Which one is which? We don't know which one is which. So it's going to be tarovis. But if it will be a pile of beams, 3 beams, let's say, that is not considered units, that's considered collective value, the collective value,
like money.
like money. Now we have to go back to the parentheses. We can't leave the parentheses. You have to go back. So he says difference between tamimim and we talk about animals. Animals we said is considered mefureshes. Naska is a machlokis, and so the way we read the Gemara, behem was considered specified. Naska is a machlokis, and beams everyone knows is not considered specified. Now Rav Nachman said that when Rav said behem was considered specified, that's only if it's tmima, if it's unblemished animals. But if it will be balas mum, then it's considered just like money. That you let's look at it for the value. Why should that be? Why should there be a difference that unblemished? We're talking about animals that say cows. We're not talking about.
Because if it's tamimim, then it can be used for a korban. We don't know which korban. It's ready to go.
Right. So if you say like that, ready to go, so then you go back to the original thing that I started with Hakdama that I think is a nice Hakdama, but we went off of it. If you say that the animals are ayil, a kebes, and a kibsa, the 3 animals that you have over there, the animals the prescribed animals that he needs. So then the Gemara is not going to flow. If you say that the animals we're talking about, it will be nice. Will be a nice shot that the 3 animals, as Rav just meant to say that if you got a ram, a sheep, how do you say a female sheep?
Kifsa,
Yeah, in English,
finish.
there's something for it. Okay,
There is a name.
there's a name I think.
You.
I think
Yeah.
EWE.
Thanks.
And sheep and how do you say male? It's probably a name for it also. A male sheep and a female sheep. How do you get the names over there? The kevis and the kivsa. Okay. No, okay. Okay, a male sheep and a female. So if you had a ram, a male sheep and a female sheep, then there's no chiddush in Rav, and also has nothing to do coming up with these bars of silver and the beams. What's the kesher? We were saying all we said was that a ram and a male sheep and a female sheep is obviously specified, and also there's no question of which is which. It's going to be a ewe is the female one. Yeah. Okay, so if that's what he meant, it would have been nice, but it would be very simple. That goes without saying, and also has nothing to do with talking about bars of silver. Bars of silver has nothing to do with a ram or a sheep or a female sheep, right? So, because of that, we wanted to say that doesn't mean sheep and a ram and a this. It means cows, animals that are not going to be used for the korban that you need. And just the fact that it's units, it would have been a nice shot. But then it's difficulty. Why does the Gemara say difference if it's a balmum or a tamim? If it's a tmima, if it's an unblemished animal, then it's considered units. But if it's a balas mum, then it's not considered units. Is it less of units than if you have bars of silver? Like it's because it's units. What does it have to do if it's a balmum or a tamim? It's true. A tmima goes on the mizbeach, and you can sell it for karbonis. And not for korban. For your korban, it's no good. It's a cow. It's not good for you, Nazir, that need a ram, a sheep, and a ewe. So we're not saying that you're going to use it for the korban, but it will be sold for korbanos. That's more considered units than if it would be a balmum. A balmum was also, so you go to the butcher, you go to the market and you sell animals that are balmum, no problem. Why is that not considered units? For some
Is it
reason-
possible? Is it possible that if you mark this a cow for by mistake for a korban, it's the kedusha's cow?
I don't think so. If the Nazir would have brought it, I don't think that it's going to work. I don't think so. So
It can be used with the nuzz, but maybe the animal is since it's a tom, maybe some type of kedusha's cow on it.
it would be good for a korban. But if the svara here is because it's considered units or not, so then I don't see, because the balmum also, why is it not considered a unit? You take it to the market, you sell it for meat, so why is it not considered a unit? Like a bar of silver, maybe. Like the Gemara goes in further about silver and about beams. So the Gemara says beams not silver machlokis. May we say so? Maybe similar to what's being said, that that's not how people look at it. People don't look at animals as units, even though it happens to be 3 animals. They don't look at it like that. They look at it like money, only on how much money it's worth. Even though it happens to be 3 pieces of meat, 3 pieces of animals, but maybe people don't look at it. You just look at it as a sum value. The same way you're going to take a dozen eggs. So you look at it like a dozen eggs. You don't look at it the value, how much it costs. You don't look at it as each egg is considered a unit. Maybe it's nothing to do with the halachic issue of how it's going to be used, but how people look at it. Do people look at it as units, or they look at it as the sum total collective value?
What happened with Tmimim?
So if Tmimim, they do look at it as individual things, by things that are used for
Because it's
korbanos.
used-
So he's just a korban as a korban. So then each one is looked as a unit. But when you have animal stam that are not going to be used for korbanos, maybe we just look at it as how much money it's worth. And if you have 2 of them, so we look at it as collective
More money,
money, everything, more money. But maybe silver, and the Gemara goes further, that silver also is not, here the Gemara first held silver is not considered units, not balimumim and not silver. And then Rav Nachman Yitzchak said that silver, bars of silver are considered separate units. Maybe he would argue on the Behema Balmum also, I don't know. But beams, he also agrees, are not. So the way we learn the Gemara, this is just the idea of what's considered units, what's considered collective. Money is considered collective, and therefore, if you have more stumin, it's possible to have that I didn't say anything about which money, with a certain amount for each money, for each animal, for ola, chatas, shlan. I didn't say anything. This money is for my needs, for the Nazirus. But if he says something that has units, either a behema, in a certain cases, a behema tmima, or a silver, according to some of the yomim, maybe even beams we spoke about, then it'll be considered units and it's considered specified. You don't know which one is which, so it's specified b'tarovis. Yes, it's going to be a problem now. You're not going to say yiplul in a dava because there is a specification of a chatas ola and a shlamim, even though you don't know which one is which.
When we said the first, when we said oval naskalo, that meant that it would be student.
Right.
So that's very hard. So there's 2 vowels, and it really is not going on.
But it's very nice if you put the parentheses,
It's very nice if you put parentheses.
because that's really what
But
seems
what
to be what was being said.
So it's really giving 2 exceptions. Balmum,
Right.
no, naskalo.
Right, now you can really go back to Rav. Rav just said, Rav is one of the Rav. He said that Behim was mefureshes, but not a naska. In between, Rav Nachman made a footnote on Rav's din of Behema. Even a Behema is only if it's going to be a Tmim.
And if it's what?
If it's a
It's a-
Balmum, if it's a blemish, then it's not considered mefureshes. Rav said Behema is a mefureshes. Rav Nachman explained only if it's an unblemished animal. But if it's a blemished animal, then it's considered also like money, stumin. Rav himself said that Behema is mefureshes, but not a naska. I think the parentheses is true. I think that's
Very
the Rishonim might say differently, but I think it's a working shot. It might be difficulty,
Yeah.
but and Rav Nachman said that even the bars of silver are also considered separate units, but beams are not. What's the nafkamina of all this? If it's considered stumin, you put in a dava. If it's considered Russian, so each one has its own destination, and if you don't know which one it is, then all of them are going to go to the Yom Melech. The Gemara continue. Yes,
Like Tosfos. According to Tosfos.
yes. New Gemara, Anak New Gemara continuation. Amalei Rashimi Ba'ashir Rapach. Maita Maita Rabbanan Damri Mos V'lo Behema V'lo Naska Mos V'lo Savra. What's the reason of the rabbis, the Rabbanan, Rav Nachman by Yitzchak? What's the reason of these Chachamim that said that animal only money is considered stumin, but not animal, not a bar of silver, and not the beams? Now the problem is that nobody said that the beams are considered mefurish. We didn't have such a mandiyama. There's difficulty in the reading of the Gemara here because we had behema. Rav said behema is considered specified. Rav Nachman Yitzchak said that even the bar of silver is. But in our Gemara, nobody said that the beams are considered specified. And here the Gemara says that somebody just finished saying that the beams are also considered specified. How do you read that? Difficult. So
where does it say the beams are specified?
That which Rabbanan said, that money is considered stumen, but not behema and not a bar of silver. Money is considered stumen, but not savra. These words, most below savra. If the savra is like the surah, savra shel koros.
Yeah, below means it's stam.
Most, what is the most is stam, below savra. Again,
Not
let's
it's
see this one over here. This one, she said most.
ferocious.
What is most? What is most? Most is stam, right?
Yeah.
Below behema. That's what he said before. Most below
Most
behema.
we're going backwards now.
Most, he said most
We
below
used to say
behema.
ferocious, but not something else. Right?
Depends what you said.
Okay.
Here,
okay.
I mean, here he said behema is meferocious, right?
Yeah.
He
And
said
not-
only more.
Nasty.
Maybe we should make better color code. But
No, that's okay, but we're going backwards now, right? Before we said meferocious and not these other things. That meant they were stam. And now you're saying mouse is stam and not these others. That means they're meferocious. You see what I'm asking?
that's fine. Rav said money. Let's make it. They do need a color code over here. Let me just try again. Rav. What does Rav say? Lo shanu elamos. Abba behema away ferocious. Even better.
Okay. Those
That Moses is stumen,
yeah,
but behema is ferocious.
okay. Mouse is stupid.
But behema, so the yellow is going to be ferocious. Rav Nachman Yitzchak said, "Afilo naska is considered." Good. Rav Nachman Yitzchak said, "Afilo naska is considered ferocious." True.
Yeah.
Rav said money is considered stuma, but not behema. Naska is not like a behema. Naska is going to be also stumen. True.
Yeah,
And Rav Yitzchak said that Naska is also considered ferocious.
Yeah.
And now he's saying, Rav Papa is asking, Rav asking Rav Papa, how come these Chachamim said that only money is considered stumen and not behema? Only money and not naska. So far makes sense. He said below behema, below naska, that these things are considered mefurish. The yellow is mefurish, right? Rav said behema is considered mefurish. Rav Nachman Yitzchak said naska is considered mefurish. How? What's the reason of these rabbis that say that behema and naska is considered mefurish? Now I'm stuck on the next one because it says also money is considered stuma
Oh,
and not a sabra. The beams are considered mefurish. Is there such? There's no such mandiyama.
Right.
So I'm stuck.
Okay.
Because it is stuck, the Mepharshim go back and wanted to read it more differently, and I got mixed up. I'm not thinking it as a question. I don't know the answer. Or even talking about it. Let's say even talking about it, is the beams considering all these units? You're talking about these units, and I'm leaving this as a question. I don't know the answer to this. I'm leaving this as an issue. I don't know where the Gemara saw that Savar is considered a is mefurish. But the idea of the Gemara is, what are you all talking about? That the animal is considered mefurish and the beams are considered mefurish. What would you say about birds? What would you say about birds? Are birds considered mefurish? How about birds? If he's designated birds, is it considered? And he didn't say which is which. Is it considered stumen? The whole thing is considered not neutral, or is it considered mefurish? Ilachar, you'd say the same thing. as animals, dancing is animals.
Animal.
It's also considered mafurish.
Right.
So if you
They
separated,
serve the same purpose. Isn't it?
so if you separated, it's units.
Yeah.
So if you separated two birds, you would say that automatically one is a chatas, one is an ola, let's say, or designated for the money for the chatas and the ola, and now it's mixed up. You don't know which one is which. That's what you would say, right? And he's going to ask a kasha that if Christoph said differently.
What?
He's going to now ask a kasha that is not so. You people said that units are considered specified. I have a kasha from a Chisda that says differently. Are you going to say that birds are also considered specified? El Hadam Rav Chisda, Eina Kinin is Parshas, Ella, Iba Kichas Bailam, Iba Sias Kohen, Amai, Amos Gemirinla. Rav Chisda said a statement, or highlight his statement, Eina Kinin, doesn't let me do what I want to do. That was Rav Chisda's statement. The simple words of Rav Chisda and the simple pshat, there's a big difficulty in our Gemara. Very confusing. But just to get the simple words. Rav Chisda is a very simple halacha. Kinin means a set of birds. That one's supposed to be a chatas, one's supposed to be an ola. Shtei tom or shtei b'nayona, echad lechatas ve'echad le'ola. You go to the store, you buy two birds. The person is a zav, a zava, a tzara, your ledes. Those that have to have two birds, you go to the bird merchant and you buy two birds, two torah and two b'nayona. And if you say which one is which, so then you decided which one is which. If you didn't decide, so then one is a chatas, one is an ola, and it hasn't been decided yet. Simple. And if this that what if afterwards she came home, the woman bought two birds and she said, "This is going to be for my cane. I need two birds." She bought the two birds, and when she bought it, she didn't say which is the chatas, which is the ola. If she wants to, she could, but she didn't. She bought the two birds, and she'll decide later on. And she came home and she decided this one is the chatas, this one is the ola. So if Krista said nothing happened, nothing happened. The fact that she said this is the chatas, this is the ola doesn't take effect. The kinim, this sets of bird, doesn't become specified, designated, which is which, only at the time of the purchase.
Not so by animals.
No, at the animals, you buy an animal and you bring it home, and you come home and you say that
later.
this is the ola, this is the ola. But by the birds, when you buy collective two birds, that is supposed to be for this joint chatas ola that you need.
Right.
So if you specified at the time of the purchase, then this is the chatas, this is the ola takes effect, and you can't change it anymore. But if you didn't do it at the time of the purchase, and afterwards you did it, it doesn't take effect, and you can change it. Either at the time of the purchase, when you bought it, then you can specify which is which. Or if not, it doesn't happen until the Kohen is going to make it. Then the Kohen is going to do it in the base of Mikdash. He's going to make this is a chatas, this is an ola. He's the one who's deciding. But any decision that was made between the purchase and the offering doesn't take effect. Nice, simple halacha.
Is it because they're the same? The birds are identical, or not so by the other three? No, nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. I'm trying to find the reason.
Or by the purchase of the owner, when the owner purchased it.
Or the purchase of the owner.
He is like, oh, right.
By the time.
Oh, Belasias Kohen. Or at the time that the Kohen is doing the korban.
I see. I see.
So this is Rav Chisda and is brought on another place. This is Rav Chisda's thing, that you can't label which is the ola, which is the chatas only at the time of the purchase, or actually when you're doing it, but any other kind of labeling doesn't take effect.
Nobody.
And the Marza Kasha, Amai, Hamos Gemirinla, only money is considered stumin and not Russian. And here you're saying that
Against Rabbi Chisda.
so that's supposed to be Kasha Rav Chisda. These two things are not supposed to be, they're not supposed to reconcile. They're not reconciled. There's a difficulty between these two statements. We said that units are considered specified, and Rav Chisda says that you cannot designate which is which only at the time of the purchase. And we're supposed to figure out what the kasha is.
In other words, Bob buys two, he doesn't say which. And then he goes home and he decides which, and then he takes it to the Kohen. It doesn't matter if the Kohen takes the other one.
Right.
Okay.
That's what Krista says. And that's supposed to be something difficult about what we finished talking about. We talked about that what's considered stumen, what's considered mufurashin. Again, if we had the case of the Nazir, he had monies, and he said that if he put money, he says that designated money, so the money is considered neutral. It's for the company, and he could say when it's he died, stumen, and he died, so they won't say that it goes to the it goes to Yiplul and Adava because it was not specified. If it was specified, so then you can't do Yiplul and Adava anymore. And what's going to be? One is a chatas, one is all, one is they don't know which is which, and then everything's gonna be go to the Yam Melech. Let's get what Tosfos said for argument's sake. And the Gemara's Kasha doesn't fit the Rav Chisda. You're saying that units are considered specified. Rav Chisda said that it doesn't label which is the chatas, which is the ola, only at the time of the purchase. What in the world is contradictory? What's not the same? Why do they have to do with each other? He was talking about the words are the same, stumen and Russian, but it's nothing to do with each other. Agumar is talking about if the money is neutral, or he specified that one is for chatas, one is for ola. Every time the woman goes to buy the two, what's called over there stumen, we're calling it for Russian. We say that you have money, and you said that one of the monies is going to be for the chatas, one is the ola, one is the shlamim. That's considered Russian. Of course, you don't know which one it is. That's the assorted Russian over here. You have an assortment, but if you don't know which one is which, but it's labeled over there. Rav Chisda was talking about what's considered that it's labeled, what's considered that it's not. Of course, when you said this is the chatas, this is the chatas, this is the ola, this is the ola. Before you specified, before you misparshos, so you had both of them collected. One is a chatas, one is an ola. What we call Russian over there is called stumen, but it's two different subjects altogether. Does anybody have any idea what the contradiction is? There's a contradiction. Our Gemara said that if you specified units, you put aside bars of silver, animals, maybe even beams, maybe birds, and you said this is going to be for my carbon. And we're saying that since it's units, so it takes effect that one is a chatas, one is a ola, one is a shlamim, and you don't know which is which. Rav Chisda said that when you want to make which is which, one issue is that there is a chatas ola and shlamim here. We don't know which is which. Stumen means that it's not even chatas ola shlamim here. Nothing has been labeled as a specific one. Rav Chisda is coming to say, when do we say that it gets its label? Of course, even before he started, when the woman bought two birds by the bird merchant. One is a chatas, one is an ola, and she didn't specify which is which. But of course, one is a chatas, one is an ola. When she bought it, wasn't still chulin. She bought them for collectively to be the kabbanis that she needs. One is a chatas, one is an ola. By us, that's called mefurashin. In our language, that's called mefurashin. Over there, that's called stumen. And over there, the only issue of Chisda was when does she get the authority to label this is the chatas, this is the ola. We're not talking about if one is a chatas, one is an ola. Of course, one is a chatas, one is an ola. But we want to know which is which. So Chisda says she only can label which is which only at the time of the purchase. We're talking about, was there any labeling of that one is going to be one and one is going to be the other? We just say that birds are considered units, and if you separated these two birds or three birds, let's say, that you designated them for the kabbanis, one is for the chatas, one is the ola, one is the shlamim. You're not going to do any more. You're than a double. You're just going to do whatever. One is a chatas, one thing. All going to go to the Yam Melech because one of them was a chatas, which is so. The Gemara's kasha needs a lot of explanation. And the next page we have here a huge Tosfos on the next page, which makes our not very small because that seems to be a issue. So there's the Tosfos at the end comes out. The end of the Tosfos brings out a pshat over here.
So Rav Chisda is talking about something other than
Our subject, right?
our subject.
Right. So what Tosfos does, he says, right, the Mefarish says so. That
He's talking about that these are going to be the real birds. It's not money at all.
right,
You're not going to exchange it like an animal.
right,
It'd
right. He's not talking about units. He's not talking about units at all. He's talking about which is the ola, which is the chatas. And he just said that doesn't take effect only at the time of the purchase. Otherwise, you can't decide which is which. But our subject wasn't which is which. Our subject was is one designated as a chatas, one designated as an ola. If you take monies, then the money's all stumen. And if you have units, then one. Which one? In the luft. You're not saying which one. One is the chatas, one is the ola, one is the shlam. Four chatas, one is four shlam, one is four an ola. So our subject was only the mefurashin of our sugya is the not the mefurashin of a fifth sugya. But Chisda was talking about which one is which. Which one is the one? Which one is the?
Why did you say it was a kasha on the crystal?
The Gemara is asking a kasha. The Gemara is making a kasha that our Gemara doesn't fit your Chisda. You saying that money is stumen, but
Oh, 'cause
birds
we
are not
think that it's
stumen.
still about
But
exchange.
Chisda says differently. And that's the question. Where that's what the Mepharshim are bothered with. Where does the Gemara see if Chisda is different? If Chisda is talking about a different subject, if Chisda is talking about how you could make the Ola should be the Ola, the Chata should be the Chatas. Even before you start, if you don't designate it, also of these two birds, one is a Chatas, one is an Ola. But the Chisda is coming to say which is which. So he's not talking about that. So he's talking about the actual labeling that one of them here is a Chatas, one is an Ola, not which one is which. So why does that have to do with each other? So Tosfos says, after much, that the Gemara sees someplace in Rav Chisda that a new halacha that we never heard of. Just like Mosu and Yipul and Adava. So Rav Chisda says also that these kinim, if you didn't label them at the time of the purchase, and the woman died, Yipul and Adava. And it's also called Stumen. Rav Chisda didn't say so, but we're seeing it someplace. Rav Chisda asked, "Where do you see it in Rav Chisda?" He wasn't talking about that. But the Gemara is going to see someplace in Rav Chisda that included not only is it not labeled which is which, but it's even called Stumen Yiflu and Adava. We didn't have such a havamina. We said if you bought two things, let's say units, and the Gemara is asking, you're saying that units are considered that one of them is a chatas, one of them is an ola. Thus you don't know which one, but it's not going to be Yiflu and Adava anymore because one is a chatas, one is an ola. Rav Chisda superficially just said you can't decide which is the chatas, which is the ola. But the Gemara sees in him, not only don't you decide which is the chatas, which is the ola, but as long as it's stumen, it's going to be yiflul and adava. That's the Gemara's kasha. The Gemara's kasha is that you are saying that units is not considered stumen. Units are considered specified, and of course you don't know which one is which. But in this two birds, you have one chatas and one ola. You don't know which one. And if Chisda would say that it's yiflul and adava, and that's the Gemara's kasha. How come Rav Chisda says that you only can designate not only which is which, but you only can make a designation at all, only at the time of the purchase. But if you didn't, then it's considered stumen, and if the woman would die, it should be yiflul in adava. You say that only money is considered collective, but units, animals, bars of silver, maybe even beams, and birds, anything which is units, is considered that one of them is a chatas, one of them is an ola, and it wouldn't be yiflul in adava. That's the most kasha. And the Gemara answers, Amalei. So what do you? So the Gemara is attacking. This Rav Shimon bar Rashi is attacking and saying that units don't make it considered Russian. Units are still considered stumen. Amalei ultamei chadetnan Rav Shimon Gamliel Omer hevi shalosh behemos cholo piresh haruya lechatas tikor chatas laola tikor baola l'shlam tikor shlam amai ha'amid behem alav kim fresh damya. So now going back, what do you want to say? That units are not considered Russian? They're considered stumen. Rav Shimon Gamliel said if you have three animals, here the Farish is talking about a ram, a male sheep, and a female sheep. And you didn't say what's what. You just designated these three animals. So the one that's a female sheep is going to be for the chatas, and the male sheep is going to be for the ola, and the ram is going to be for the shlomen. Why? You say that animals are not considered Russian. So the answer is obvious. Over here, you had a ram, a male sheep, and a female sheep. That's that's going to be a simple answer. The Gemara is going to say. Over there, of course, it's mefurish because he's the ayol, the kevis, and the kivsa. That's what they're omid for. That's not a chiddush. But over here, any other animals or bars of silver or beams or birds, we still consider it all stumen. That's what the Gemara is going to answer. Amalei, what's the connection? This is the source of Rav Chisda that only by one of these two stations can it be designated what's what, either at the time of purchase, or by us at the time that the Kohen does the korban. That's when it's specified. Otherwise, it's not specified. It's all considered stumen. But hacha, to take out the word nami, if you want to erase the word nami, hacha, the matzasamrit hadein lechatas tikar v'ola. How can it give? Yeah, you can't say that this one should be, you don't know which one is which. Of course, the female is going to be the chatas and the male is going to be the ola. You can't say that the chatas should be for the ola. This one is supposed to be in a cave, but this is supposed to be a zohar. The case of Hashem Gamliel was that you had a ram, a male sheep, and a female sheep. Over there, obviously, it's considered designated because that's all that's right to be. But in the case of Rav Chisda, that it's, you don't know, there's not specified which is which, so they're both the same kind of birds. So it's not specified which is a chatas, which is an ola until you specify so, and the specification only helps at the time of the purchase or the time that the Kohen is doing it, and therefore it's considered stumin and what? And yipul in a dava. And so the big kiddush in this pshat is to say that in a chista you see yipul in a dava. We never would have thought so, and that's the end of that tomorrow.
What happens to them?
You bring it for Kayit Samizbech, you bring it for Olas Sibor. You bring all that money for Olas Sibor. That's it.
It won't function as what it was bought for and so.
It was originally separated for Nazir carbon, but it doesn't work. The guy died, and so then you bring it all for Olas.
Downgrading, that's called, right? So
Upgrading. You bring it for Olas Sibor.
אבל יש כבר שרק יודעים קדושה, לא עולים קדושה, לא מים קדושה,
As long as it's going to be kaddish.
yes, but it's different way.
So is a Nazir higher than
I
a
don't know, it's a matter.
So that's good for today.
Go on.
It's 12 o'clock.
We can go till here if you like. We can go about 15 lines, whatever everybody would like.
Okay.
A long way to go.
Massive Avamduna. So now we just had a kasha, and the Gemara attacked what we said, and he said that money is considered stuma, and the Gemara tried to say that the Behema was considered mufurish, maybe a bar of silver was considered mufurish, maybe
But
birds are
that
considered.
silver was just money, so it wasn't, it was.
No, it's a bar of silver. It's not money.
Oh.
It's a separate unit, maybe.
Because it's a certain amount, it's a specific amount.
We're asking a question, right?
Now, Massive, but the Massive is not doing this. That was the Gemara before we just did, even though it was a difficult Gemara, but he attacked the previous Amuram. The previous Amuram said that an animal is Rav. Rav said an animal is considered specified. And Rav, who's this? Rav Shimon bar Rashi attacked it. And he didn't answer it. He just attacked it.
But we had the parentheses, right? He's going on the parentheses.
The next Gemara was going into parentheses. But I'm just pointing out that the more we just did was Rav Shimon bar Rashi was attacking this whole statement of animals being considered mefureshes, and he doesn't answer. He was asking if he challenged it. But the Gemara is putting the challenge. Okay, it's a footnote. We made a challenge, and we're going further. We're not erasing Rav. Now Rav said that animals are considered mefurish, but now behema b'alas mom is not even according to Rav that says animal is considered mefurish, but a behema b'alas mom is not considered. Now we're going to go on this point that in the parentheses that he said that a behema b'alas mom is considered the stuma.
So it's a question.
Now it's going to be a question like that. We're going to attack this point now. Before we attack the main point, we attacked the main point that said that all that animal that's a tamim is considered mefurish. We attacked that. Now we're attacking. Now we're going to attack the other point that he said that a balmum is considered stuma, and that's the Gemara's kasha now. Let's see, where are we?
From the second line.
Yeah, Masav Abamduna. Back to Rav Nachman, who said earlier that a behema balmum is considered stuma. Behema balas mum stuma damya tashma case. When is that? So it says the man shahaya. Now he take out the. What's the name?
The Megaleach means the procedure at the end.
Right, he uses the korbanos. He uses the korbanos for his father's korban. Okay. So take out the word who. His man shahaya aviv. Whatever. Nazir. Let's see. The Mishnah is going to say that not always may use his father's korban. If his father was a Nazir, the father separated money for his own Nazirus, and the father died. And then the son said, my father has a korban left over that he didn't use because he died. I'll use the korban for my Nazirus. I really know that I want to become a Nazir, but I should be able to use my father's money for the korbanos. So then it says it doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's but it says in the base over here that it doesn't work.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the base. You see the base over here. Ain't about That's not the case that you can use. That's not the case. This part, he cannot, in this case, he became a Nazir after his father died. He's not entitled to use his father's clothing for himself.
Surely not, it's like a different time zone, it's all different scene.
It's going to say, the end of the mission is going to say, only if he became a Nazir in his father's lifetime, together with his father, and then the father died, he could use his father's clothing. If he became a Nazir after his father died, he can. But we're going in this case that the father died, and the son cannot use the father's clothing. What do you do with this money that the father had designated? How you run most, you blew it double. So the father had leftover money. I'm more Saba.
Huh?
I'm really knows I'm not sure I'm more Saba.
Yeah.
So it says it doesn't work. You can't. That's what the base adds on. That's no good. That's not a case. That's not a case where the father could use the son could use the father's clothing. What do you do? What do you do with the money? The father died. It's a simple case now. The father died. What do you do with the money? How you run more stimulus? You can run it double. If you had money that was set aside without being specified, same as our Mishnah, you flew in a double. Basically, go back and market. Right, regular law. How you rob him with precious? If he had an animal that was designated, chatas tamus, ola tikor bola, shlomi tikor shlomi. The animals that were designated, if it was a chatas, could die, and the ola should be korban shlomi. And the shlomi is shlomi. That's the end of the brisa. So the Torah doesn't say anything. What does it say? It says if you have money still in the Zippu and the Dava, and the animals which were precious, the animals which were designated should be each one for its designation. My love, Afilu Balasmum. He sees something over here that the behemoth even means a Balmum also. And you said that an animal Balmum is considered still. So he says, doesn't mean that. Who said it means that? No, Tamima. The animal here means that it was a Tamima. That's the reason why it's designated for a Chatas Olo or Shlomen. But the more is saying, no, I mean to say like this. You're saying that if it would be a Balmum, it would be considered Stuma. My area, Mos, Lema, Hoysalo Behema Balasmum, you flew in a Dava. Just to point out what the Mos Kasha is, it's an interesting price over here. It says, well, just to point out the contrast over here. If you say Mos, Stumos, oh, yet again, look at the red. Here it said Mos, Stumos, and it said Behema Mufreses. The contrasting Mos, Stumos, and Behema Mufreses. That's an interesting thing. It could have talked about a Behema Stuma also. When it wants to talk about collective things, it talks about money. When it talks about something which is designated, it talks about an animal. Why not talk about both animals? There could be an animal also that's stuma. You said animals can be stuma. An animal which is primo, you said animals are considered units. But an animal which is valmon, you said it's considered stuma. So why did the Mishnah, the Bryce have to change examples from money to an animal? By animal alone, you can have sasum and mafurash. If you say that an animal which is a balmon is considered sasum. If you say that an animal which is a balmum is considered stumya, why does the brisa contrast between money and an animal? Not your to say a case of stuma. You could have said such a case even by an animal. There's such a case of an animal which is considered stuma. The Gemara says that's what it means. That's another way. A behema which is a balmum is the same thing as money. When it says money, it means anything which is considered money. So behema balmum is just considered collective money, and therefore it will be considered sasum also.
You can sell it and buy something.
And that's considered money. Just look at it as money. Even if you have 3 animals, it's considered money, and that's not what the brisa means. They also consider you in the double. The only case is going to be behema mufrek. It's not going to be by a prima. Over there, it's going to be considered that it's designated for 3 things. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.